Welcome to Tuska 2018. One might say, and not being without too bold statement, that Emperor is one of the cornerstone of Norwegian black metal. They have totally deserved their attention and status, being one of the most important bands in the genre. So we are glad to present you here Ihsahn of Emperor. Welcome to Tuska. How has Finland been treating you?
Thank you very much. It's been treating us very well. I'm here for the whole weekend and actually brought my whole family over. So we're kind of combining a bit, free time and staying at festivals, watching some bands yesterday, and yeah, it's been really good.
You are not only here with Emperor, but also with Ihsahn. So you're two gigs, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. How do you combine these kind of different mindsets and music in one festival?
Well, almost as a surprise to myself, I've been doing that for a few times, and really now that in the last couple of years we've been playing back-to-back Emperor stuff, Ihsahn stuff, and 1 weekend I've been doing a festival with my own stuff, and another weekend with Emperor. And I think just on a personal level, on albums it's one thing, but on stage you just go into the flow of things. So it doesn't matter really that much to me if I'm playing old Emperor songs or new Ihsahn songs. You just get into that performance bubble that is on stage. So to me, surprisingly, it feels very much like this. It feels the same.
You're having a sort of anniversary gig here, as you did with In the Nightside Eclipse a few years before this one. It was a great show. I got to thank you for that, being a long-time fan of the band. What's going to be different this time, except for the tracklist, obviously?
The show in itself, of course, is a bit different. Of course, Trim is back behind the drums as he joined the band for Anthems, and in essence, it's, I guess, a similar concept. Performing Anthems and in its entirety, which personally I also think makes sense. Even though we did the same thing with In the Nights of the Eclipse, but to me that is a different album, and I often said that even though Eclipse was our first kind of full-length, release, it was still a combination of songs, some new songs and some previously recorded songs. So to me, Anthems is kind of the first Emperor record that we wrote as a full record, and I think that is maybe even more of a steady platform musically for what Emperor ended up being.
You developed your sound quite a bit from In the Nightside Eclipse to Anthems. We actually listened to our friend's place prior to coming here, and one might say that after more than 20 years, you can spot quite a bit of stepping up the level. How big a change was that for you? I mean, like musicianship and not only creating a new album, but stepping up the game, basically.
Well, I think since the material for Eclipse, we wrote when I was like 16, 17, and we didn't really we recorded demos and everything, but we never really had the resources or opportunities, obviously at that age, to kind of form this expression in the studio. We had ideas, but we didn't really have the experience to know what we could expect. But based off of what Eclipse became in that kind of collaboration with Pytten in Grieghallen, who kind of put these huge reverbs on everything, and the learning experience from that, how to arrange stuff that it actually comes out. It's the whole of Anthems was kind of written with that kind of production in mind, I think, and so we knew more about the musical tools we used, I think, basically.
What do you think? What are your feelings nowadays when you think that you created a masterpiece like 25 years ago? How do you feel about that nowadays when it's your most kind of valued treasure you have done in your whole career?
Well, I think I just feel very lucky and very humble to that fact, because these things are rather random. What time it came out, and just luck and circumstance, really. So, and I think those two first Emperor albums, for us, I think they represent such a big part of where we started off, and that has enabled us to be where we are, and for me to, and all of us, I guess, to just have a life in music, and it's the basis of me having this as my career and my life.
You also have other bands and ventures besides Emperor Ihsahn. Some are more in the past, I guess. That's the case with Pekkatum, and your wife also composes music, and you have many ventures in that area. The thing is, how can you keep everything together and kind of intact?
Well, now it's always been kind of easy. I mean, I did Emperor, and of course that was kind of created within the formula of or the people involved, and Peccatum, when we were doing that, it's also kind of a combination of styles, put into one project, and basically Peccatum was one thing, and then my wife started writing under her own kind of Star of Ash name, and me as Ihsahn, and basically it's kind of a similar thing, but she kind of took some of the most essential parts of what she was doing into her project, and I took the metal parts with me to my solo stuff. And to us, I don't think it's that much of a big difference, because what was Peccatum ended up being Nemosign Productions, which is kind of our production company, and all we do musically. She's still my kind of main sparring partner when it comes to my albums, and she's my go-to for feedback on new ideas and forming concepts and everything. And so, as I say, we just have this creative circle. And also, I mean, we have yesterday we went to see Leprous. Einar is Heidi's, my wife's youngest brother. So we follow them and collaborate a lot with them since their early start, and still, we have. It's like a circle of great people and musicians that we get to work with and play with. So, yeah.
How much you, as a family, and you and your wife especially, how much you produce each other, and how critical you are about each other's music?
Well, I think we just because of we are that close. There's no filter. So the feedback is really honest, and also very much based not on taste, but also knowing each other's capacity as artists, so that when I do new stuff and I play her something, and if she tells me, this is not good enough, you can do better, it's because she knows that I can actually do it better. And when I redo it and rethink it, it always becomes a better part. And hopefully I can be as creatively kind of stimulating for her as well. And I know Einar, he has always preferred, for example, Heidi to produce his vocals for the Leprous albums, because she has this tendency to know the peak of your performance and everything, and knows when it's enough or when you've done your best. So I think both me and Einar, we share this trust that when she says it's okay, that's kind of the parameters that you stretch yourself to the best. And that's, it's I think I'm just very lucky to be in a situation like that, when you can have that so close.
Talking about a little more about Emperor, you and Samoth are especially seen as the faces of the band and kind of the main guys. Who is your major driving force in the band, creating these or recreating these legendary albums as a gigs and so forth?
Well, it's the core of us, of course, is me, Samoth, and Trim, who's been, who are the essential, ingredients on that. We worked with Sectamon, on bass and backing vocals through all these reunion shows, which has worked out really great. And then we've had some changes in the lineup with the keyboard and backing vocals. Einar from Leprous, he was our go-to for that position for a lot of these shows, but eventually they're so successful with Leprous now that we couldn't get everything to match up. So we had get lost from Dimmy Borger, step in on one of the shows, and now it's Jørgen Munkeby of Shining, who's kind of filling that position. Which keeps it fresh, and all of these are obviously talented people. So, and I guess, what can I say? The albums are so old, and the atmospheres of the songs are very set in their ways. There's really not much room for improvising or doing things in a different way. You just perform those songs as they are supposed to.
So we won't be hearing like untapped version of Emperor ever?
No, I don't think so.
But what about new material? Could it be possible? Some fans have been yearning for new Emperor material, at least in some format or another. Is it entirely possible?
Yeah, I think I can appreciate, the people wanting it, but I don't know, looking at it from a fan perspective, what bands came back with new material after a very, very long time and kind of came out with an album like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. It rarely happens, because I think it's, at least, just reflecting through my own kind of musical filters as a fan, it's just as much, the memories and the experiences I had that I attached to certain albums, and especially, the music you grow up with and you kind of attach yourself to in your teens or whatever, it's, I think a demand for a new Emperor album is kind of a wish to recreate that feeling and emotion, and I couldn't possibly see a new Emperor album ever fulfilling that need. What would people expect us to do? Should we do an Emperor album that sounded like old Emperor album and hence try to copy ourselves, which would not be very genuine, and or would they have an Emperor album that sounded like something we would do today, and probably with my progressively more well, at the end of Emperor I ended up writing all the music, so I guess it would be a lot of musical material that was similar to my solo stuff in there. Is that an Emperor expression they would it's kind of a lose-lose situation, and I think people appreciate that. I think they know. So of course, if we had that in us, like, oh yeah, we're going to kind of build this new Emperor thing, but I think none of us are in that mind space at all, because creatively that's why we ended in the first place, because we were creatively, we wanted to leave at a peak where we could still represent this together. And I think also, I like to think that some of the reason that we can do huge festivals like this, people still follow us. I think there's the trust there of the very uncompromising nature of Emperor as a phenomenon, because we never compromised. I mean, there would be a lot of things that we could do, that I'm sure if we released some kind of album with the Emperor logo on it, it probably would sell a lot, yeah. And I'm sure I mean, yes, we've been doing some festival shows, but I think, just the tours and the things we've also turned down, it's yeah, so it's we've only kind of kept this at level, and done the stuff that we're doing it for the right reasons, if you will.
Thank you very much for this really lengthy comment. Now we are running out of time, so the last question is, what will be happening in the near future of Emperor? Will you do another anniversary gig after this one?
Yeah, we still have some festivals left on the calendar for this year.
But I mean the other albums?
There's no planning. I mean, we've made a mistake and said, oh, okay, this is it. And at this point, we all have a great time when we do these few shows. And, we travel with a really good crew. Everything is very well organized. So at this point, I won't say never say never, but there are we haven't even discussed it. No.
Well, thank you for the answer. So, since we're running out of time, too bad, but check Emperor when you have the chance. Also go for Ihsahn shows. You never know when it's too late, so get there while you still can. Thank you for the interview. It was nice to have you here, and I wish you all the best.
Likewise. Thank you very much for the support.
Adios.